That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay guys, I'm gonna try to record this as fast as I can, and I am very sorry if you hear fire alarms going off in the background. I'm assuming those are neighbors who their pipes froze and they are flooding now, but I think we should be fine here. So I am just praying that you cannot hear the fire alarms in the microphone. But anyway, what we are going to be doing in this video is we are going to be looking at some veteran running backs, and then at the end I'm going to go over to the wide receiver position that I'm afraid that their value is going to go to zero. These are players that have definitely lost a ton of value from where they were being drafted last offseason. And I've heard on some podcasts people referencing them as solid buy lows, and I'm sitting here shaking my head going, I mean, what upside are you buying? What is the best case scenario for these players? I think worst case scenario is that they are getting cut off of our dynasty rosters next offseason. And when that's the case, I think we need to be looking at these guys and running for the hills. If we have someone whose upside is that low, combined with the floor of just not being on our roster entirely, I think what we are going to be looking to do is sell for pretty much the highest price we can get. Literally go out there and see whatever you can get. And obviously, if you're only getting offered third or fourth round rookie picks, then you probably want to keep the player. But if you're going to be able to get an early to mid second, then I think that's a price point that would be willing to cash out at. But I'll specify based on the player what price point I am looking to sell for. And yeah, before we get into the video, if you have not already, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We continue to be one of the fastest growing Dynasty Fantasy Football channels on YouTube. Yeah, I understand that we are a secondary channel compared to our main channel, where our main channel was our primary Dynasty Fantasy Football channel for the past 2 years now. Well, now we have to build this one up. That one's at 23,000 subscribers. I would love if we could even get this one to 5,000 by the time we would get to the NFL draft. That would be fantastic. But anyway, let's get into it. And our first player that we are going to talk about is going to be Kenyan Drake. And I will acknowledge the fact that we've kind of been crapping on Drake this entire offseason. Back when we first started those Dynasty mock drafts, I was seeing Kenyan Drake go in the 6th, 7th round, something that I was laughing at when he was going in the same pick range of a Brandon Ayuk, of a Chase Claypool. Since then, people have gotten a lot smarter. Since then, I've actually found myself drafting Kenyan Drake in a few of those mock drafts. And I thought that the Dynasty community corrected itself. I thought that most people understood now that Kenyan Drake should not be going anywhere close to the top 9 rounds in Dynasty startups. But then I went to Twitter. Then I went and looked at my DMs over there for people that aren't necessarily following the channel as closely as they should be, and they're not participating in our mock drafts. And I see them in other mock drafts, in other real Dynasty startups, taking Kenyan Drake in the 7th, 8th round, thinking that he is a value. And I am here saying that is way, way, way too high. I mean, right now, not a lot of people know this just because he wasted so many of his years down in Miami. But Kenyan Drake is 27 years old. Hey, guys, I understand. You do not think of Kenyan Drake being that old of a running back when Todd Gurley is 26, when Leonard Fournette is 26, and when Chris Carson's 26, some other running backs that we are going to be talking about here. But Kenyan Drake was a running back at Miami for a very, very long time before he ever got a real opportunity in an elite NFL offense in Arizona. And we knew that everybody in the flock, we were fading him hard coming into the season because we questioned if he was going to be able to be a workhorse running back, because we never saw it outside of a 5-game sample at the end of 2019. So I'm happy to say that anybody who's been following the channel for a long time now probably doesn't have Kenyan Drake. They probably didn't take that big of a loss in 2020. But for anybody who just now found the channel, go out there and sell, because Kenyan Drake is not on a long-term contract. You may already know this by now, but Kenyan Drake signed a transition tag last offseason. So the Arizona Cardinals have no money tied up to Kenyan Drake. They decided to draft Eno Benjamin at the very end of the 2020 NFL draft a running back out of Arizona State that a lot of people were into before he fell in the NFL draft. And on top of that, whenever Chase Edmonds had the opportunity this past season, Edmonds straight out played Kenyan Drake. So I think we can maybe assume that the Arizona Cardinals aren't going to have it at the very top of their list of priorities to bring back Kenyan Drake this next season. And even if they do bring him back, what kind of upside are we looking at here? I mean, he was the running back 24 in points per game last season when the Arizona Cardinals had a fantastic offense, when Kyler Murray almost led all quarterbacks in fantasy points per game. Kenyan Drake was getting outscored on a points per game basis by Ronald Jones, by David Johnson, and this was because he only saw 25 receptions. Chase Edmonds was the receiving down running back there, and that is not something you want to see for Kenyan Drake when he's not going to be getting every single touch at the goal line, because we know Kyler Murray is going to vulture some goal line rushing touchdowns. So with Drake, if you were drafting him in that 7th, 8th, 9th round range, I mean, best case scenario is you have a low-end running back 2, a very low-end running back 2. Some would call him a high-end running back 3 based on his split last season and the fact that he's another year older. And we know these running backs fall off very quickly. I mean, you do not hold that juice very long in the NFL unless you're an elite level historic playmaker like Adrian Peterson or Frank Gore. But we can all agree that Kenyan Drake is nowhere close to the pedigree of those running backs. So with the downside of Arizona not bringing him back and Kenyan Drake having to play a backup role elsewhere in the NFL, and with the upside of Kenyan Drake only being a low-end running back 2, high-end running back 3, this is a player that if in a super flex league, I can go out there and sell him for the 201, 202, 203, 204, anything in that range, I would love to do. And obviously, if you're playing with a bunch of people who know what they're doing, you're not going to get that price. Sometimes you're just going to have to sit there, you're going to have to hold the L, and you may have to possibly take a little bit less just to get a player off your roster. But I know a lot of people, on the other hand, are going to be telling me, Mason, Kenyan Drake's worth more than an early second. What are you talking about? And no, guys, literally, go hop in some of our most recent rookie mock drafts. If it's a super flex league, you could see players like Rondale Moore falling to the early second. We know last year you saw players like T. Higgins, Laviska Shenault, some very quality guys in that early second round. So if we could trade Kenyan Drake for that right now, I would love that move. Okay, so now our next running back is going to be a very controversial thing to say. I understand y'all are going to come out here and tell me, Mason, are you blind? Did you not see what he was able to do in the playoffs? But I don't care. Leonard Fournette here, I am afraid of his value. I know in the playoffs he looked so good, and that is going to hold some weight with NFL franchises. But I want to remind y'all, a running back who looked very, very good in a Super Bowl run just a few years ago. Do y'all remember? Back in his rookie season, Sony Michel was a touchdown scoring machine in the New England Patriots Super Bowl run. And the next year, really, we did not hear from Sony Michel. And a lot of people, including myself on this one, I am not going to run away from this fact. I know we weren't necessarily pumping it on the channel, and even if we were, we had like no listeners then. But on my own Dynasty rosters, I went out there and I bought into it. I looked at this running back going, you know what? Look what he did in the playoffs. I mean, I think that the New England Patriots are going to be willing to give Sony Michel the work going forward. He was a first-round draft pick, and he really went out there and proved something during that small stretch. Well, the thing is, if you are buying into the small sample sizes, you are going to lose in the long run. And that's what a lot of people are doing right now with bumping up Leonard Fournette considerably with where his value was a month ago to now. We have to remember that Fournette was a running back who was cut last offseason. This is a running back that was a healthy inactive. Literally, Leonard Fournette had nothing wrong with him. He did not have COVID. He did not have an ankle injury. He was 100% fine. And there were multiple weeks during the regular season that Bruce Arians and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers looked at their backfield, looked at their overall roster, and went, you know what? Leonard Fournette, hey buddy, take the week off. You don't need to come out here. We do not need your services. So with those factors and the fact that even when Leonard Fournette did play in the regular season in 2020, really, he did not have a lot going for him. I mean, if you look at points per game, he was a high-end running back 4. He was behind running backs like Giovanni Bernard, Rex Burkhead, Salvin Ahmad, Jeffrey Wilson. So there are so many factors pointing towards Leonard Fournette, mainly being someone that an NFL franchise is not going to significantly invest in. He doesn't have a contract this upcoming season. And on top of that, I think that his upside is going to be extremely capped. He's another year older. He's the same age as Todd Gurley. And we know that, yeah, Todd Gurley has some bad knees, but Leonard Fournette has never been the picture perfect of health throughout his entire NFL career. So I'll say with Fournette, he's another running back that I'm worried. I mean, maybe he could end up going down to 0. Maybe we need to be looking at what we could get for him. All right, I just realized that we have a decent amount of players to go through on this list. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm just going to talk about one more running back. And then for tomorrow's video, I'll go through and I'll make a wide receiver version of this vid. So if y'all want to see that, make sure y'all go down there, subscribe, make sure you turn on notifications, hit that notification bell next to it. And once we get done with this crazy blizzard that is hitting us right now, I will definitely make sure that we get some more live streams up and going. That way I can personally answer whatever questions y'all have. All right, well, now our last running back that we're going to talk about is going to be someone that I have to admit, I was so wrong on him season after season after season. I mean, I have missed out on a lot of chances to make money with this player. This is Chris Carson. So I swear to God, every year, this happens if you've been following the flock. I go into the season going, Chris Carson's being overdrafted. Chris Carson's not someone we want on our roster. Just like I said with Kenyan Drake this year, Chris Carson was up there on my must-avoid players. And while we smashed Kenyan Drake, while that was so strong of an avoid when most people were drafting him in the first round, we whiffed on Chris Carson. I mean, Chris Carson came out, and yes, he was not a league winner, but he was way better than I expected him to be. But going forward, what we have to understand is we have to understand that the NFL operates a lot different than fantasy football does. So if you look historically at what NFL franchises invest into, if they are going to invest into a running back after their rookie contract, they are generally going to choose the running back that is A, either an extremely strong pass catcher, or B, had all the pedigree in the world going into the NFL draft. A running back that was drafted in the first round, second round maybe, but definitely those first round running backs are going to get a much higher shot regardless of if the production looks similar to a third-day running back in getting that second contract and getting that next job. This is why you see Melvin Gordon getting another chance in Denver. This is why you see Le'Veon Bell. This is why you see David Johnson, both guys that were drafted on day 2 of the NFL draft, getting second chances after their rookie deals, after they failed to really come out here on their veteran deals and provide their teams exactly what they were paying for. Those running backs that are provided that elite level of production combined with the fact that they had the pedigree coming into the NFL, those are the running backs that people want to invest in. Well, Chris Carson is not that guy. Chris Carson was pretty much undrafted. I mean, he was selected with the 31st pick in the 7th round of the 2017 NFL draft. So I know, I mean, Chris Carson is extremely off the radar for a lot of NFL franchises. He's also 26 years old. I mean, he's right in that range of the Todd Gurley. He's in that range of running backs that teams are not going to invest a second contract into. And another things that teams hate to see is they hate to see the running back with an injury history. And if you go through, that's exactly what Chris Carson is. I mean, dating all the way back to 2017, he had an ankle fracture. Going into 2018, he had a hip strain. 2019, he had a shoulder sprain. 2019, again, a hip fracture. 2020, an MCL sprain. And 2020, again, a midfoot sprain. So there are so many factors telling me that Chris Carson is not going to be prioritized in NFL free agency for really any NFL team, combined with the fact that the Seattle Seahawks already said that they were not going to bring Chris Carson back. I am very, very worried about Carson, as I think his best case scenario pretty much is going to be a committee running back on who knows what franchise. And I do not see any upside there. Yeah, I mean, this is another guy very similar to Kenyan Drake. I mean, if you could sell Chris Carson for a mid-second round pick in a Superflex league, an early second round pick in a 1-quarterback league, that's something I would love to do. And obviously, if you're playing in a league where there are a lot of people that go with this mindset that as soon as these running backs get off their rookie deals, you want to have a fire sale, it's going to be hard. I mean, you may not be getting these prices, but based on what I have in my DMs, I think some leagues you should be able to. All right, now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton, and I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow.